All right, guys. Dreadnought's out of the box and back for another review. And today we're going to be looking at the Star Wars The Black Series Force Awakens Target exclusive 2-pack. As you can see here, it includes Poe Dameron and a First Order Riot Control Stormtrooper, which is the same as the Stormtrooper that came in the first wave, but does include some Riot gear, which is looking pretty sweet. So I'm liking that already. If you're looking for these, Target does have them in the back. They're not really on the shelves yet, but as I mentioned in my Saturday score video, you can do as I did. Take the DCPI number in there to the front desk. They'll pull them from the back. Usually don't have any problems with that. I was lucky enough that the guy pulled out a fresh case. They only received one case. I was able to get my pick of the litter. And I will be up front with you and tell you there's some bad paint apps on a few of these. So if you can look and choose, I definitely recommend doing that. But this one had the best paint apps, so I took it home with me. And price-wise, it comes out the same as buying two individual figures, so not a lot of savings going on with buying them, you know, in the 2-pack like this. But hey, I would have bought them individually anyways. I'm just super stoked about this movie, so I'm liking these figures that are coming out. So as you see here with the packaging, it's very reminiscent of what we've already seen with the Force Awakens waves. Has the artwork here at the bottom, which is looking nice. You know, nothing going on top or on the side over here. On this side, it does have the spot for the number in the wave. Of course, it's missing here because this is a special exclusive. And then if you want to pause it and look at those bios on the back, please do so. So let's crack this thing open and take a look at these figures. And here they are out of the package. And this is going to be a 2-for-1 where we look at both figures in the same review. And I'm liking them so far. They're looking pretty good. I'm not sure I'm sold on the helmet here on Poe. You know, it looks a little bit funky. Maybe I'm just not used to that look, but you know, some nice sculpting on the figure, but I'm just not sure I would want to display them like that. Definitely loving the Riot gear though on the Stormtrooper here. Now I do have some gripes on these figures, and I'll get to them in a minute, but I am liking this look with the shield and the baton there. So let's take a closer look at each one. And as we get a closer look at the Stormtrooper here, a couple points I want to make right up front. I've been purchasing these since Force Friday, trying to troop build them and grab them anytime I can, and I'm plenty fine with getting another one here for my army. Definitely like that Hasbro has given us another opportunity at one. But one thing I want to say is the paint apps on this one in comparison to the others I've purchased, and I've got like 5 or 6 now, they're a lot sloppier. Also, the joints are a little bit looser. You know, so that's, I don't know if they rushed these through production, you know, because of demand or for the box set, or if these were the duds that didn't quite meet quality control standards, so they thought, hey, we can sell them with Poe and, you know, get rid of them. I don't know, but just looking at them in comparison to the others, this one definitely has the sloppiest paint apps on it. Now, not saying it's not a good figure. I love this sculpt. I liked it when we first looked at it. You know, and I think it's a definite natural progression of where Stormtrooper technology went, you know, after the Empire and Return, you know, in the future, you know, 30 years later or whatever. I definitely think this is the way it would have went. So I think for the movie, I like the design. And I like this character, you know, in the Black Series. But, you know, just for this particular figure in this box set, you know, it's just real sloppy job on paint apps that Hasbro did. And as we look at this and look at the head sculpt, you know, I like all this white and black and sculpting in here, the silver paint app here on the side. But you can see there's some paint overspray right here in the middle. And keep in mind, this was the best of the bunch. There's also some black overspray on top of the helmet here, you know, which I'm not liking. Sculpt-wise, you know, I love all these little details in here. The back looks good, you know, detail in the back here. And then this is not a peg hole, it's just a black dot. I'm not sure what that's for. But all that looks good. Even some texture in here between the arm panels. You know, nice, looks good. But you can see here some bad paint apps on the back here. Just really, and you couldn't see this in the box because it was hid back here, but there's almost indentions in here where this paint got stamped in as well. And as we go through the rest of the back of the figure, you can see some more bad paint apps here. Of course, I'm not sure why these Stormtroopers still have these. I know in the original ones, this was to hold lightsabers because McQuarrie originally had them where they were going to have lightsabers. So I'm not sure why they kept this because they really weren't intended to be on the first ones. But as you look at the back of the leg here, a lot of black overspray, just a ton of it here. So I'm not liking that. And you can just see the sloppiness around the belt here. You know, just got really sloppy with this. Some more black paint on the back of this leg. You know, and then as we go to the front, it's pretty clean on the front. You know, man, I like that detail and sculpting in that belt. It looks good. I like that. And I like that insignia is real clean here. You know, just, you know, on the back of the figure, just really horrible paint apps. And just real sloppy in it. And there's some extra plastic right there that's kind of chipped off as well in there. And then some extra in the black, so I'm not liking that either. And as we look at articulation here, the head doesn't really move up much. It does move down a good bit. It does have just a little bit of shift in there and has a little bit of pivot. It does rotate around. Arm only moves out that far. It's hindered by this armor piece here. It does rotate around, but no upper arm rotation. It does rotate at the elbow here and only has a single joint there, not quite 90 degrees. The rest does swivel around, and it has a hinge that'll move just forward a little bit and back that far. No ab crunch, but it does have a diaphragm joint that moves forward that much, backwards that much, and rotates around on the diaphragm with some good range of movement there. No waist rotation. Does have upper leg rotation, and it is really tight on this one. Can kick forward that much. Can only kick back that much. Trying to get these out. The hips will move out that far. Has double jointed knees. It can move in like so. The feet do not rotate around, but they do pivot that far forward and that far down. And it does have some rocker movement as well, which is hindered a little bit by this plate here. And as we get a quick look at his accessories, you know, still a little bit of sloppiness on there. You can see some black overspray in a couple spots. But for the most part, it looks pretty clean, white plastic. Got a nice gray design here with gray paint app. I'm liking the little bolts here with the little silver paint apps on the end. Those actually look really nice. And then looking at the back of it, you can see here's where his arm goes. And by the way, when you're taking this off for the first time, after he's out of the package, it is extremely difficult. I actually had to use some heat to get this off his arm. His armor wedges up behind this, so you really have to rotate his arm around and work it off. Be very cautious with it. I'd hate for somebody to break the arm off their figure trying to get it off, but it is very tough. Nice black paint apps here, but you can see some sloppiness in there in the middle. And then looking at his riot baton here, I'm really liking this piece. Got some nice silver paint apps through here. Not sure if this is supposed to stun or, you know, you can see there's supposed to be some kind of electric or power look here with some red lights through here. I guess we'll see that in the movie. Nice silver paint app here on the handle. And I'm liking this end with the sculpting in here in the black. Looks good. And then he also comes with the two blasters that the original Stormtrooper from the first wave came with. You know, nice paint apps as they've done with all the weapons. Nice silver here on this one. And these also have the pegs to fit in the side of his leg, like we've seen before. And then looking at the other side, these are actually fairly clean. I just like the fact that they included them both. Since we were getting the baton and the shield, they didn't cheap out on us or skimp on us. We actually got these and those in addition, so I'm liking that overall. And as we get a closer look at Poe Dameron here, I'm liking this head sculpt overall. It looks better than what we've seen we're going to get with the Wave 2. Definitely has a much better likeness of the actor here. You know, paint apps on this one aren't perfect as well, but nowhere near the sloppiness we saw on the Stormtrooper. You can see a little bit of paint above his nose there. But overall, I like this sculpt. It looks good. One thing I'll say to watch out for this shading for the stubble or the beard here. Be careful. Some of these I looked at before I purchased this one had a lot more of a blue hue to it. It was really dark, and it just looked really off-putting. So definitely keep an eye on that. Would have liked to see a little more detail in the eyes, but you know, at least they're pretty straight. Look pretty good. The hair, I'm liking the sculpt so far in that. You know, looks real good. You know, not a lot of detail paint wise, but there's a little bit of black in there. You can't really make it out, but it's definitely in there. And you know, and it's got a nice deep brown for it overall. You know, fairly clean paint apps on the head overall, so I'm liking that. And then looking down at the jacket, some nice silver paint apps here and here. There's some red here and then on the shoulder that I'm liking. Definitely loving all this detail and all this, the wrinkles. There's some great shading in here with a deep brown and almost like a yellow dry brushing or light brown dry brushing, I guess, over it. Looks good in the shirt. You know, some nice sculpting under there, like all the wrinkles in here and the collar. Looks good. Looking at the back of the jacket, definitely a lot of nice detail in the jacket. It really looks good. No real paint apps on here, but just the sculpting work and the dry brushing over it looks nice, like in the ribbing down through here. You know, the hands look okay. You know, another overspray there on that hand. The belt's got some nice detail in it. You can see a textured look to that. And then the pants, I like the paint on the pants. You can see there's kind of a yellow shading in here around the knees. You know, I don't know if that's sand or dirt or just the wear on his pants, but you know, it looks pretty good like that. Nothing going on the back, but some nice sculpted detail there. The boots are black. You know, some pretty good sculpting within them. You know, I'm liking those overall. Does have peg holes on the bottom. And as we look at articulation here, head moves up about that much. Does move down a good bit. It is a little bit tough, but it does do it. No shift, no real pivot either. It does rotate around. The head's just a little tough, is what I would say. The arms move out only that far. They're hindered by the jacket here. No upper arm rotation. They do rotate around like so. Rotation at the elbow. Single joint, not quite 90 degrees. The wrists do swivel, and they do have a hinge that doesn't allow for a ton of movement, but there is there. And then it has a weird waist rotation, no diaphragm really or ab crunch. It's just got a waist joint in here that's actually cut in the shirt. And it actually scared me quite a bit when I first moved him, but it does rotate around. It doesn't really swivel or anything, it just really rotates. But it was really tough at first, and I was afraid my figure was going to break in half. So, you know, it's okay. It's just different. I'm not used to it. Upper leg rotation here, and the legs kick out a good bit there. Don't really kick back that far. The hips move out. It gets kind of bow-legged, but the hips move out that far. Does have double jointed knees, but you really have to work them, and like so. And then does have rocker on the feet, which is fairly good. No rotation. That does pivot up that far and down a good bit. And getting a closer look at accessories here, you can see the helmet has like a blast shield. It'd be nice if it slid all the way down, but it does look like it's positioned that way. Some very nice paint apps on the helmet overall. I'm liking the blue and this grayish, silverish, almost beige look. The yellow striping, the black striping, the blue and black dots. And it looks like little V's in there maybe. I don't know if that's, you know, squadrons or something he's taking down, but and some kind of symbol there on the side. There's the mic piece, nice silver paint app. It does look like this is a yellow clear piece of plastic and then they painted over it, which is a little bit weird. So it's all yellow inside there. I would have appreciated some paint inside there, but you know, whatever. And then some more symbols, and it says 703, and then some kind of writing there, and of course like a rebellion symbol there, which I assume the Resistance still uses the rebellion symbol, and I don't know what that symbol is, and I guess when we see the movie we'll know. But overall I'm liking it. The helmet looks good, like that clear shield there. So that's nice. And then here's a look at the blaster rifle. I'm not real happy with the blaster rifles we've seen. I didn't like the one with Finn. These things look really plain. They don't have the uniqueness of the weapons that we're used to in Star Wars. You know, I think Han Solo's, you know, blaster, you definitely can spot it anywhere. You know, the lightsaber, of course. But even the Stormtrooper blasters, you know, they all had a uniqueness. And so far, Finn and now Poe, I don't like these blaster rifles. You know, maybe they'll get a signature blaster gun, and I'm hoping so. But there's some nice paint apps on there. You can see, you know, like some bronzing on there. I don't know if that's supposed to be dirt or wear or whatever. And some nice detail in the rifle overall. I just, you know, just not liking these. You know, they almost remind me of some of those that came with there was a soldier line that came out several years back that used to get very generic weapons in it, and a lot of them were silver and looked like this. But anyway, it's just not my thing, but you know, for some people I'm sure it works. And here's our Stormtrooper and Poe Dameron compared to a couple other Black Series figures from the Force Awakens waves, and you can see they stand pretty well together. measuring in at almost 6 inches between the two of them. But a couple points I did want to make while we have this comparison up. First off, if you're looking at the Stormtrooper, I have to bow his legs out, and I didn't notice this till I started doing comparisons here, but his feet are completely bowed, and you can see the dip here in them. They're almost like clown feet. He cannot stand, and you can see that it's like they're on rockers. So getting him to stand has been extremely difficult, and I don't know if this was out of the package or what the case was, but you know, that's a downside for that figure for me. Hopefully I can take some heat and straighten out those feet, but just in comparison to another Stormtrooper figure, here's another one that I have, and he stands perfectly fine, and you can see the feet have a little bit of turn at the ends, but nowhere near that that we're seeing with this one out of the package. The other thing I wanted to show you is if we look at Poe's jacket here, and I'm not trying to spoil anything from the movie here, but obviously they're wearing the same jackets. Now, with that being said, it looks like the same insignia, the same red, but Poe definitely got the much better sculpt on the jacket and the much better paint apps. This almost has a yellowish look to it, where this definitely has a brown. And you can see these are not the same sculpted jackets. There is a little bit of pocket in here that's different with the straps, and this one's kind of got a strap hanging down, which may be to hold a lightsaber or something. You know, so I don't want to say they are the exact same jackets. They definitely got different sculpts, but everything else seems to be in the same place until you look at the sculpting of the actual jacket. And they're just sculpted different. This one just appears to be sculpted better. I definitely like the color choices on here much better, and I like the shading that we didn't get over here. We got a little bit of reddish shading in this one, but you can definitely see the belts are sculpted different and the wrinkles are sculpted different, but it has the same pattern to the jacket. So, you know, I'm liking his jacket a lot better. I wish they'd have done this on him, and I think Finn would be a much better looking figure if they had. I love those color choices they used on Poe. And here they are compared to a couple other original trilogy Black Series figures. You can see Luke here on the right and the Biker Scout here on the left. And, you know, they really scale pretty well together. Luke's a little shorter here. You know, the helmets look the same size, though, if you're comparing them. You know, so I'm liking how these two look together. Not so much over here. One thing we saw with this Stormtrooper when we were doing another video is these guys don't have the girth to them that the original trilogy ones had that came out with the Black Series. You can see this Biker Scout just has more presence and more thickness to his body than this Stormtrooper. You know, they're wearing armor, so it kind of stands to reason that these guys should be a little bit bulkier, you know, and maybe a little bit taller than these guys. But, you know, overall, you know, it looks pretty good. And as we wrap it up here, if you're a completionist like me, you're probably going to want to buy this set just to have all the figures from the wave or from the collection. You know, if not, you probably can pass on this set. It does have some issues with it. I think Poe is a solid figure overall. You know, I would rate him a buy individually without any problem at all. Great sculpting. My figure had great paint apps on it overall, you know, with very little blemish or mistake work on it. And I love these paint apps on the pants and the color choices they use for the jacket and everything. If I had to say something negative about this figure, it probably would only be the fact that I don't like this joint here in the shirt, and like with all the Black Series figures we've been getting of late, doesn't have double jointed elbows, which, you know, I kind of feel like is an issue. You know, other than that, I think he's a great figure overall. Would like to see some better weapon choices, but we haven't seen the movie yet, so maybe these are some really badass guns. Who knows? As far as the Stormtrooper, I think the riot gear is cool, and hopefully it'll translate on screen even to be cooler. But it's kind of a gimmick for this piece. The original one we got in the first wave, very solid figure. I like that figure. It has great articulation. Could use double jointed elbows as well, but this was a solid figure. This is the same figure, and I don't know if it's running through all of them, but this was the pick of the litter. And as you saw, lots of paint problems, molding issues, or, you know, packaging issues either way with these feet, which was a huge turnoff for me. You know, just a lot of problems with this figure overall. So, you know, together, including them. I can't really give it a buy, overall because of the issues with the Stormtrooper figure. Now, if you're finding them in better condition and they don't have these issues and you're actually getting this figure, with Poe, then I would say yes, totally worth the money. It's just going to depend on what you get and what you find in your local Target. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys have purchased these, if you've seen some of the same problems. I'd love to know if it was just a bad batch in my area. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, please give me a big thumbs up. Hey, if you like what I'm putting out, please subscribe. We're trying to drive those subscription numbers up, and there's going to be plenty more content coming down the pipeline each and every week for you guys. Facebook, Twitter, Toy Art, and eBay auctions going on currently. Links in the description below as always. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.